All right, so yeah, again, welcome to the last week of Design Tools. Yay, right? You're about to move on. So, again, we're gonna, just like we're gonna, we've done the last few times, we are going to work through a few things. I'll answer your questions as they go, and if something comes up during it, I will do my best to answer it. Otherwise, I might actually put it off until a little bit later to kind of give you guys, how should I put it? So if you ask a question that I'm going to answer later, I'll push off answering it until then. So don't be too sad if I don't answer it right away. So, all right, so let's get going. Okay, so today we're going to talk about Unity, kind of the big one here. So let me go ahead and start up Unity real quick. I know I have a bunch of different icons for it. It actually all goes to the same version, so. All right, so let me go ahead and get some stuff set up here for you guys. All right. All right, so I've go ahead and fired up Unity here. I'm going to go ahead and just create a new project. All right, so I'm just going to leave this one the same name because, well, it's kind of important. Well, not really important, but, it's I'm just going to leave that there. All right. All right, so here we have, basic Unity layout. Not much has changed since I recorded the videos. This over here's changed a little bit, just the way it looks. It operates basically the same way. So let me go ahead and do a few things here. All right, I'm going to drop in a plane real quick. All right, so we've got a plane. And actually here we're showing one of the differences here. Now, when things are selected, they're now outlined in orange. All right, so, and now the outline kind of shows through. Right now there's a cube and it's below the plane. If I drag it up, you'll see it pop in here real quick. So that's how it actually outlines it. So it's easier to see what it looks like. All right, let me go ahead and resize that there. And I'm going to resize this a little bit too. All right, so we have an object here. It's just a block. So we're going to do a few things. For example, I'm going to go ahead and import some textures here real quick. All right, so look at stuff here. I'll go ahead and just drag some grass in here real quick. There's some grass. And eventually it'll show up there. There we go. Drag it directly onto the ground so we can see it. All right. Well, actually, I like how thick it is. It really does help show when you're looking for it. Let's see. So Matthew, have you run through the tutorials on the C# tutorials? Okay, so basically I'm just getting you started on this. yeah, I know there's a lot more that you could learn, but I need to save stuff for later on. What you're going to learn later on is that you're going to learn some proper programming techniques, and we'll leave that for a little bit. Liz is actually going to teach you that, so you'll learn some better ways of working with stuff. Joseph, could you repeat that into the main channel so everybody can see it, because that's a good question. All right. Austin, could you give me the error that you're having on that? Oh, hold on. Click on. What is this for? Okay. Oh, well, I haven't signed up on this machine yet. I'm not actually managing that right now, so. All right. So we have an object here. Let me go ahead and drop in Ethan here real quick. All right, so let's see, assets. We're going to import a package. Do characters real quick. All right. I'm going to import that. All right, so we have Ethan in here, and I'm going to go into the standard assets, go to characters, and then third person. And in here, I'm looking for prefabs. And we're going to third person. So I'm going to drop this in here. So this is Ethan. He's there to walk around and give us the ability to kind of control stuff. All right, so the first way I show you how to connect a camera is to actually just attach it to him. So this is one way. There's a second way that I show you here to make it actually look a little bit better. But the first way is, the way I do it is I kind of get everything lined up in the editing view here. And then I take the main camera itself and I align it to what my current view is. So I click on the main camera, I go to Game Object, and then I choose Align with View. So Align with View right here. What that does is it makes the camera look exactly where I'm looking right now. So if I actually back off, you see how it's showing there. So now that the camera is lined up properly, I'm going to just take the camera over here and drag it onto the third-person controller. So this is actually a pretty quick and easy way of doing it. So I'm going to hit play on here, and it makes it work fairly quickly. But the problem is if you hit back, it does this rotation thing. And if you don't line it up exactly, it'll start to kind of turn your character as it walks forward. It's mainly because we're kind of sharing some of the camera information. Great. Couldn't click anything. I just okay. So Aaron, one thing you want to make sure that you do, and everybody should, Unity likes to crash if you have a bad video driver or an out-of-date video driver. So what you should do is go to Start, and then go to the Apple Software Update and have it check. The one that kind of downloads by default isn't the best. In fact, that one kind of likes to crash a little bit extra. The one that it does, you have to actually run this twice and have it install it, because the first time it'll install the first two parts, and then AMD gets a little, nitpicky and doesn't want to install with anything else. So you have to restart your machine and then run this again to get that one to install. Then it's a little bit more stable. All right, so let me go ahead and murder this here. So that's one way we can do it. Now, there's actually a better way that I have you do. So let me go ahead and do one more thing here. We're going to import another asset here. So I'm going to import package, and I'm going to choose cameras this time. All right, so cameras is an extra set of scripts that help the camera run better. So I'm going to hit import on this. All right, so it's actually imported it here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here to standard assets and choose cameras, prefabs, and I'm going to drop the multi-purpose camera rig in here. So I'm just going to drop that right here. We don't really have to do anything with it. If you want, you can kind of align it to a better view, but what it does is that it will focus directly on your character player here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the, actually, before I do that, I'm going to hit the little arrow here to make sure everything's in here. So we've got a main camera there. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the main character, or the main camera from the project, not from here, but from what was created. So I'm going to delete this one. All right, because we no longer need it. If we use the multi-purpose camera rig, it's a much better one. So the next thing I need to do is I need to go into the third-person controller itself and mark it as the player. That way the camera can focus on it. All right, so now I'm going to hit play on here. And you'll notice it kind of moved a little, the camera moved a little. It's because it was kind of getting into the proper area. So now the camera will kind of follow Ethan here. And we can kind of back up too. All right. Who was it that was having the camera issue? Is that better, Joseph? Okay, so again, not sure if I can go back too much on this because I got rid of some stuff. Okay, so good. It does allow me to do that. All right. Sometimes it gets a little finicky. Okay, so what you do is you need to import. So you go to Assets, Import Package, and then Cameras. And then you hit, once you click that, I can't do it again because it's already here. You click Cameras, and then you hit Import on that. All right, and then once you've done that, then you can actually go down here to Standard Assets and then Cameras, Prefabs, drag the multi-purpose camera rig in here so it's there. And you don't actually have to realign it, it just makes it look a little bit better. Once I have that, we go to the third-person controller and change the tag from untagged to player. So now it knows it's there. Added the normal Ethan character. Huh. That was odd. Okay, well now it should work just fine. Oops. Third-person controller. What's going on here? Got something acting a little wonky. Oh, the camera's still there. All right. Don't forget to delete the old camera. Cool. All right. So one of the things that I have, you'll notice here that as I'm running, you'll notice that my user interface is turned blue when I hit play. That's there to help remind you that you're in play mode, so you don't edit anything. You don't go through and do a lot of edits and then realize, whoops, that was in play mode. So here's how you actually do that. You go to Edit and then Preferences. All right, and then we can go to Colors, and we can change this right here. It's labeled Play Mode Tint. The blue, if you just click on this, it's usually gray. If you click on it, it'll give you the ability to change that. It's not allowing me to do that right now because I don't have the extra monitor plugged in. That's the adapter that I'm missing right now. So, but yeah, once you do that, it'll allow you to kind of have this blue tint to remind you. All right. So, other things to show you. Let me go ahead and drop a few other things in here. So we have an object here. All right. No, go away. All right. So we're going to hit that, and I'm going to actually add a new script in here. I call this my first great. Bear with me a second here. I'm fighting the user interface for go-to training, so. All right, so hit add component, new script, my first, just for the fun of it, hit enter. All right, so we've got that. I'm going to run this, or not run it, I'm going to open it. All right, so here is a super basic script. It's kind of what starts off. This one, of course, is what runs when you first start. We have one down here that runs once a frame, and it is locked to your frame rate, your current frame rate. So if you're getting, 60 frames a second, that'll run 60 times a second. If you're running at, 3 frames a second, it'll run 3 times a second. If you're running at, 3 seconds a frame, it'll run every 3 seconds. Yeah, it's locked to it. We have other things here. Let's see. Avoid on collision enter. All right, so we can set up collision on this. Actually, before we go here, hold on, I'm going to comment this one out because I missed a step for you guys. All right, so what I'm going to do is I am going to set up a rotation here on that object. Let's see, we need game object dot get component. All right, and we're going to drop this in here for the not get component. Sorry, a little bit foggy from yesterday. Still, sorry. Transform dot rotate. All right, so I'm going to rotate this. So we have a bunch of different things that we can choose here. I'm going to rotate on the x-axis here. So let's put in 90.0 f, comma 0.0 f, comma 0.0 f, comma space, the final frontier. All right, so I'm going to do self in this case. All right, so let's save that real quick. All right, so what this is going to do, it's going to rotate 90 degrees. All right, let's run this here. All right, so hit play on that. And, oh yeah, you guys might have a hard time seeing this, but what's happening is that every frame, it's changing by 90 degrees. So if you were seeing this on my screen, you'd see like a little square in the center with kind of these these kind of transparent cubes here, or edges alongside, because it's flashing every frame. You're probably seeing a slideshow of it jumping between the two. So what's happening is that we're rotating 90 degrees every frame. That's bad. So let's fix this. Unity, being a very game-centric piece of software, gives us the ability to deal with things in frame rate. So what it does is it gives us the amount of time in seconds since the last update, since the last frame. And what it is usually it's, less than 1 second. So if you take something and multiply it by less than 1 second, or less than 1, what does it happen? What does it do? It reduces it, right? So I'm going to do that, and it's called time.delta time. Wow. Time.delta time. And it's the amount of time that's basically changed since the last update here. So I'm going to save this, and we're going to give it a run. All right, now it's actually running at a decent rate here. Cool. Okay, so are you doing that? All right, so Aaron, can you repeat that through where everybody can see it? All right, guys, please don't private message me stuff for questions like this, because this is perfect. Everybody can learn from it. The only time you should really private message me if you have an actual administrative issue. Okay, Aaron, why are you doing this? Why are you having it dealing with a plane underneath your stuff? Are they falling through your terrain or something, or your objects? Or is it like a Mario Death thing? Like where you're hitting the bottom and you need to send them somewhere else? Okay, so that's actually not, that's a good question. So let's say you've made something. All right, so we've got a 3D object here. I'm going to put a cube here. Let's say you've made it, like, for example, you brought it in from well, actually, let me show you that in a second. Let's say you've got this object here. All right, and you want it to block the player. Perfectly reasonable, right? Uh, ah, um, so the mountains in the distance, are you using a terrain for that? Or are you just bringing in a model? Ah, okay. So you actually have a model for that. All right, so what's happening is that, here, let me show you here real quick on this. All right, so by default, when you create primitives here in Unity, it likes to go ahead and add a collider for it. All right, so I'm going to remove the collider here. So what the collider does is it actually stops the player. It gives the object, a physical mass to it. So if I don't have a collider, I can actually walk directly through that object. So, yeah, it's bad. So the way you fix this, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete this one here because I'll bring something in from outside here. All right, so I'm going to do something here real quick and bring in a texture. All right, cool, that's there. And I'm going to bring in something else. I'm going to bring in a really crappy table. All right, let's see if I can find it here. There it is. So this is from Maya. The reason I brought the texture in first is because if the texture is already there, it'll go ahead and associate it automatically. If not, you'll have to go in and actually edit it to bring it in. All right, so I've got my table here. All right, so I'm going to drag this in. So there's my table. It's a really high quality table there. All right, so let me go ahead and play this real quick. All right, so if I walk up to it, I'll actually go through it. That's because by default, these things do not have any sort of collision to them. Yeah, he does. All right, so there's no real collision to it. So let's fix that real quick. All right, so this table is actually made up of the parts. Of the parts that I used to make it. So there's a cube here for the top and 4 cylinders for the legs. All right, so what we need to do is we need to go in and add to it. Now, Hold on. Go do training, your pain in the butt. Bear with me a second here because I just lost most of the chat. Sorry, guys. So Aaron, this is what you need to do. What's happened is there's no colliders or no colliders on your object that you brought in. So this is what you have to do. All right, so you actually have to go find your object, and if there's an arrow next to it, you need to hit the little arrow next to it, and you're going to have to actually go into it and add to each of the parts of it what you need. All right, so the first part here is the cube on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Add Component, and I'm going to go here to Physics. All right, from Physics, I'm going to hit Box Collider, because this is mostly like a box here. All right, so that's pretty much like a box there. So that first one, if we hit play on it, it'll actually stop us now. Doink. And that's because the top has collision. Now if I hit C to crouch, I can still walk underneath it, but I can also walk through the cylinders. So we need to fix that. All right, so let's go ahead and fix that real quick. So of course we have the cylinders here. We're just going to hit Add Component, Physics. Now, since there's no column here, nothing like it, well, the cylinder is a little weird, but it's not what we want. What we're going to choose is Mesh Collider here. So this Mesh Collider will kind of make something out of those meshes. Now, unfortunately, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's there. Expensive by, I mean CPU time. So we're going to repeat this for all 4 legs. All right, so we're going to try this again here. All right, so we have that. All right, so that's stopping us right now. Crouch, and now the legs themselves stop us. Okay, yeah, you could use invisible walls. Yeah, if you want to do that, it's actually pretty easy. But also you could go select the object, and if it's just a regular mesh, you could use Mesh Collider for that. You can throw a Mesh Collider on, and that will act like a terrain. Yes, you could also put up an invisible fence. Actually, I'll show you how to do that right now. It's pretty easy, in fact. Let me take this and expand it just so we have more room to work. More room for activities, right? All right, so let's say we want to create an invisible wall. That's really, really, really easy. All we have to do is we go up here to Create, and we can go here to Create Empty. So Create Empty just creates an object, or at least the kind of the underpinnings of an object here for us. All right, so I'm going to kind of move down here because it put it way, way, way up here, and we don't need that. It's kind of a little wonky, mainly because the tool doesn't resize as we move. So right now it's actually underneath there. It kind of screws with your perception here. All right, now it should be above it. All right, so we have this object here. All right, so it actually doesn't have any physical mass to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to go Add Component. We're going to hit Add Component here, and we're going to go to Physics, and we're going to choose a Box Collider. All right, so the Box Collider is there now. In fact, it now has physical kind of space there. I'm going to move it where it's easier to find, because right now it's in the middle of nowhere. It's going to be really hard to find. All right. One of the nice things about Unity is you can actually drag off screen, and it doesn't care. All right, so I've got an object here. Let's see if I can make sure it's lined up right. Ah, it's under the ground again. All right, that should stop us there. So I'm going to hit play on here at this moment. And if I walk over here, although we're not going to see anything, we should run into it. There it is. See how it pushed him out of the way? It's there. Now, to make it how we want, if we get kind of close to this and we hit the Edit Collider, you'll notice our tool goes away, but we have these dots in the center of our box, each of the faces here. And what we can do is we can actually use that to adjust it out. Oops. If you lose your object, go over here to the hierarchy and you can find it again. So hit Edit again and modify this stuff here. Now, you hit play on there, and it should be a little bit more obvious that it's there. Blink. And that is an invisible object. Yes, you could do that too. The reason why I didn't do that is because this is more efficient. When you have all that stuff there, it kind of takes up space. The computer still has to deal with it. Now, if it makes you more comfortable, you could make it that way. You could just create a box and just when you're done, you could remove the mesh renderer. You could just remove the mesh renderer and it would work. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to answer a question Aaron had earlier. I think that was Aaron. Hold on, let me look. No, it was Andrew. Sorry. Andrew had a question of, are we allowed to use stuff from the asset store in the project? Yes, with one exception. There is something called the Japanese Otaku City. You are now allowed to use that one. You may not use that one because it's too easy. That and it doesn't really work, and we don't want to help you fix it. So. Not always, Matthew. Depends on what you're doing. Okay, yes, Matthew, I can talk to you about that. Stairs. All right. So, stairs. The bane of video games. Okay. So here's the thing. If you create stairs in Unity, if you create the stairs and they're just like the blocks the way they are, how you normally create them, they literally are that way. Here's the thing. There are two ways of doing it. Okay, so the first way is, let me actually create some stairs here real quick so I can show you what we're talking about. Yes, Aaron, that's exactly what happens and what you should do. So there are two ways of doing it. You could go ahead and create them 3D object, cube, and I'm going to work on creating a few of these here. All right. And there's probably a more efficient way of doing this, but I don't care. All right. A lot easier to create it in Maya, but All right, so we have that. C, B. A little bit lower on this so I can see. Yeah, you could do that. So this will probably work fine for what we need right now. Now, if it's small enough, it won't be much of a problem. But yeah, there are two ways of doing that. We could use we'd have to modify his animations and stuff, and use what is called inverse kinematics to have him walk up the stairs. Let's see, a game that really uses that. Final Fantasy 15 actually uses it. So if you watch how Noctis walks, his feet are always landing on the ground or whatever he's standing on, right? So if he's walking around, if he stands on one foot's on a rock, he'll put his foot on the rock. Same thing happens for stairs. So they'll actually have the geometry there, and they'll put his feet on it as well, so it looks natural. We don't have the resources for that right now, and you probably don't want to deal with that. Yeah, you probably don't want to deal with that right now. So the way we do it is, here, actually, better yet, let me just draw it out on MS Paint here real quick. Oh, geez. So right now I'm fighting Windows. One of my devices got changed. Changed the background, and suddenly it's like, oh, we got to share it for everything. So, all right. So let's say we're trying to make some stairs. All right. So, I'll do that. We're just gonna draw this. All right. So let's say, wow, that's really thin. Please forgive my terrible drawing skills here. I am a programmer, so let's say let's say we've got here. All right. So what's happening is him bouncing is that he's hitting each one of these and just moving his way up. All right. So the way we do this is we create basically another bounding volume. So we do create an invisible wall basically, and make a ramp out of it. So let's say I've got, oh, this probably isn't going to work because I'm not going to allow me to rotate it. So I'm going to have to draw it. All right. So what we do is we create a ramp that kind of sits in the ground, and this invisible one that just goes right up the center of them and makes there something to walk on. All right. Of course, we wouldn't put it. We'd kind of try to get that corner at the last edge here. So when it hits the top, that's it. Yeah, that's basically the way we've done it for years. World of Warcraft uses it. Pretty much everything uses it. Some of the early World of Warcraft didn't even bother with the stair geometry. They just created ramps, and they made a texture that was kind of stair-like. Yep. And you'll notice most games still use ramps, only because it doesn't eat polygons, basically. All right. Cool. Try to make sure we don't miss anything here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me go back here real quick. All right, let's see if I can get my brain to function again. And that would be collider, I believe. Okay, so we've got an object here. All right, so let's say something hits this. All right, right now, we can have it print something out, for example. All right, so I'm going to save this here real quick. All right, and we're going to jump here, give this a try. Now, if you watch down here at the bottom, if I can go ahead and get it to there. Oops, script error. Okay, of course. So, I misspelled that. All right, so it's going like, I have no clue what you're trying to do here. So if you kind of forget, one of the nice things we can do is we can do the Unity API reference here. All right, so collider on collision enter, we can look at that. And what it's looking for is collision. Did I just misspell that? That might be what it is. Like I said, I'm still recovering from... Oh, collision, not collider. Yeah, so this is the bad part of it. So on collision enter uses collision, and yeah, let's try that again. There we go. Now, when we walk up to it, thump, thump. And every time it hits us, it fires that off. Yeah. So you have to, on trigger is more for a going through something. Collision is more when you hit something. Think of it like driving a car. All right, so when you hit another car, that's a collision, right? When you drive up to a light, a lot of times, depending on where you're at, especially that where they have the sensors in the ground, you see the little wire things in the ground. You trigger the light, right? Because you're not running into the light, are you? You're not colliding with the light. You're triggering it. So that's really the difference between the two. Collision stops you. Trigger does not. Yes. Or you're the cause of road rage. That's the cause of road rage, right? All right. Again, that all follows. If we go back here, like if you totally borked it like I did, it also has the ability to show you what you need to find here. So we're going to hit the on collision enter. We are also going to find here, is we can type that in on trigger. All right, so I did that because we have the different ones here. So on trigger enter here. All right, so same idea. So we have that ability on this one as well. So All right, so this document here is what we use for our scripting stuff, so we can actually go through and look at it. You can actually look at this in a regular browser too if you want. So if it makes you feel better. You can look at it here as well. All right, and of course these are all the little different ones we have running here. Debug gives you all kinds of good things too. All right, let me make sure I haven't missed any questions here real quick. Okay. Yes, Andrew, yes it is. While you're a student. All right, it's kind of free reign. As long as you don't publish it, and one of the things you're going to kind of need to know, don't try to make a video of it that you're going to put up on YouTube. If you do, then YouTube will kind of trigger on that as well. Well, not even for just plain regular free release either, because you can still get in trouble for that. So one of the things you kind of need to see here, if I jump in the window, asset store, and I'm going to drag this out, mainly because I like putting it out here, because then I can see it in the full mode. And again, like I said, I don't like ATI because they can't do anything right. All right. I love AMD's CPUs, but I don't like their GPUs. They suck. All right. So let's say we have some stuff here. You want audio. All right, so audio, music. Say we want something, world. I don't know, orchestral. We can go find stuff here. Now, yes, you're looking at the price and you're like, holy crap, that's expensive. But just remember, yes, I know you can find stuff on like iTunes for 99 cents, but that's just for your listening. This stuff here is stuff that it's going to cost more, but you are actually allowed to use it in your game. You're allowed to sell your game, and you won't have any issues with that. Just keep that in mind. You are paying for the license to use this in a full game. Cool. Voxel importer, huh? That looks interesting. Yes, they are, Matthew. They are yours to use in a game. Yeah, you can do that too, Aaron. It's actually pretty cool. Yes. No, Matthew, I completely understand. Oh, the asset store is dangerous. It is quite dangerous. A while back, let's see, where is it? That's cool. Yeah, I bought back in the day. I bought the full version of Unity. I paid for the professional here, and one of the things that they did, because they were nice people, I guess, they gave us ones that bought the full version of it access to this thing called Level 11, where they give us some free stuff every month. They've limited it down to 3. It used to be like 4 or 5. Yeah, I'm still getting stuff. But yeah, there are a few times that I've bought a few things where it's, yeah, I just spent way more than, for example, let's see if I can find one of them here. There's one that I absolutely love. Where'd it go? Yeah, this one right here. This is the one that you're not allowed to use. The Japanese Otaku City. Where'd he go? There's one in here that's really, really cool. Basically what it does is that, actually I think it's down at W for World Builder. World Composer, there it is. So what it does, and this is only part of it, what it does is it takes data from real world map data and creates terrains out of it. And it's spectacular. It's absolutely spectacular. I just hope they do updates for this soon where it'll can use something besides the maps that they allow you to use from it. But it is absolutely spectacular. For example, here, let me hit play on this. Obviously the audio is not from this, but yeah, if you create too much, yes. If you set it up right, it'll run very nicely. What you need to do is you do multiple maps. So you do, for up close, you do the full resolution, and for farther away you have it load the lighter ones. Yeah. They do give you examples on how to do it in the instructions. But yeah, this one's absolutely spectacular. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that you can find on the asset store. All right. So, do you have any questions you'd like to answer? Or like to ask? Sorry. Oh, yeah, still having issues referencing objects in code. All right. So, are you trying to? Well, there's several ways we can do this. All right. In code, if you have the script attached directly to the object, you can use game object to reference it. And that's lowercase g game object. Now, if you makes the object float up. Oh, you want it to float up if they collide with it. Yeah, yeah, oh, absolutely. You can do that. So we can do this. So if we go game object, lowercase g game object dot transform, dot, let's see, let's transform, what, translate. All right. Let's see, we want to move that. I guess we could, hold on. Bear with me a second here. We'll look through what we can do with this. Other. Oh yeah, the other object. Yeah. So let's see if what this will do. Collision dot relative velocity. Okay, well we can try that. There's probably some other fancy math that we need to do to get a bounce off, but we'll give this a try. Oops. Oh, I must have hit the, because that had transformed the wrong object. Whoops. That transformed our block. Whoops. Okay, so that was the block that we ran into that it transformed. We want the other one. Okay, so so here, let's turn this off for now. All right, so call. So this is our object dot transform dot translate, and let's see, dot relative velocity. Let's see what we do here. This will probably send us flying or something, but hey, why not? All right, let's give this a try. So what I did was instead of affecting Ethan, I affected the block itself because. Okay, so we'll probably have to like reverse it or something here to make that happen. Or we'll have to deal with yeah, we'll probably have to deal with the math for that. Yeah, it's hitting him over there because I'm literally just adding that. I'll have to deal with some vector math to actually make it actually work how we want. Yeah, but if you know, like if you want it to run into something, like if he collides with something, you want it just to float up, yeah, you can do that. That's not a big deal. You'll just go in and, well, that's very specific. You might be able to get him to do that. Yeah, we'll try it here real quick. Hold on one second. Sorry. don't think that's enough to actually make him float there. Let's see. I think we'd probably want that at least. I think what's happening is it's very light on that. Yeah. It is making him float a little bit. But he's, of course, immediately falling down. Let's see. Some straight up, so when I do it, yeah. Towards. What you'd have to do, how should I put it? Yeah, you'll have to immediately get him to float. Let me think about that. You might be best just turning off gravity and setting him to that point, or animating him up to that point. Let's see. Is that what I think that is? I think it is. I don't know which version we're using. Yeah, Vector 3, okay. The Vector 3 version. Towards the target, okay. Yeah, you could do something like that. Yeah, you could do that. That's absolutely, that looks fine. Move towards, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, you could do that. You might, like I said, what you might need to do is go in and tell it, what is it, PQ, rigid body. Hold on one second. You could probably go in here and kinematic. Use gravity right here. Yeah, you could turn off gravity right at that point, and physically move them to that. Let's see. Now, if you need to access something like directly, like the player or something like this, let's see. So public game object player. All right, so we have that, and do this. new player dot get component. I want to say rigid body dot what was it? Use gravity. Okay. Dot. Yeah, use gravity. That's a Boolean value. All right, let's see. This might work. Just throwing that together for now. So, wait, did I set that to true or false? False. Good. Okay, good. Forgot to set it. Okay. So where's that object? The cube there. Okay. Game object. Fit person controller. Let me go about it a different way. Instead of using that rigid body, use gravity, false. That might be a little bit more easy. That must not have a rigid body attached to it. So, let's see. Third person. Oh, it does have a rigid body. Use gravity. Oh, that's a little odd. Okay, there must be something else going on here that's affecting gravity. So, so you'll notice there that it's set to here. So you notice it says use gravity. If we jumps a little bit. But if we hit it, it turns off use gravity and it jumps a little bit higher. So there must be something else in here that's doing that. Is it his body, maybe? Skeleton. Oops, nope. 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 Left toe. Left toe. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have. Yeah, somehow they must be in the scripts dealing with gravity. Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, you'll have to kind of mess with gravity here. All right. So at this point, you're fighting gravity. Great. One. Let's give this a try here. There you go. Yeah. Unfortunately, now he's not walking on the ground, so he no longer has the ability to kind of drop there. Think. But yeah, he is floating now. right, Aaron, does that answer your question? It's not pretty, but it does work. Now, if you want him to just stand there, though, what you could do is you could pop him up there, and then you'd have to create an invisible object to kind of put under him, or better yet, have even better than that, have an invisible object underneath it or within it that you can move up through it. That might even be better. Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could like have an invisible object that kind of pushes up from underground, that lifts them up, and then moves them wherever you need to. If you're going to do that, that would work perfectly fine. And that's just moving objects, animating them. What you would want for that might help with your animation on that is, hold on. Vector 3, let's take a look. There should be one called LIRP, linear interpolation, right here. Move towards might even work as well. Move towards might be just the easiest way. There's a point, straight line towards a target point. Yeah, that might even be easier to use the move towards. Cool. All right. If nobody has any other questions, I'll go ahead and end this now, unless someone does. Let's see. What kind of issues, Corey? Are you getting errors or? If you double click on the error, it should take you to it. And take you directly to the script. For one thing, you don't have a semicolon at the end of the translate between the parenthesis and the closed curly brace. And your transform should not be capitalized. Also, game object should not be capitalized either. All right, so let me recopy this from you, and I'll show you all the issues that you have here. All right, so I'm going to copy this down into the, actually, you know what? I'll just pop it in here. Let me go ahead and temporarily disable this. All right, so I'm going to paste this in here. All right, so this is what you have. All right, so first of all, the game object right here needs to be lowercase g game object. All right, that's the first thing, because the capital G game object is a type. It's like an int or a or a collision. We want lowercase g game object. Second of all, your transform here needs to be lowercase t. All right, and the last thing that two last things here. We need an F here to end that off to make this a floating point value, and you need a semicolon between the parentheses and the curly brace. Cool? No, this is, nope, just those. All right, also one thing you might want to do, so I'm going to hit enter here. All right, create some space here. One thing you're probably going to do is, like I did up here. All right, for one thing, the game object here, you're going to cause the object that your script is attached to jump. That's one thing. So you notice how when I did that the first time, the spinning block jumped up, right? So if you want what's colliding with you, or what's colliding, like your player, to do that, you're going to change from game object to call. Or whatever you passed in. And if you want them to kind of float there, you're going to also have to turn off gravity for it. So call dot rigid body dot use gravity. We're going to set that equal to false. Oh, if you're making a floating lantern, all right, is that lantern ever move at all? I mean, okay. How should I put it? Unless you are making it move, like if you need physics on it, what you could do is you just take the, you can take off the rigid body on it and just physically change the position of it. And then you wouldn't need to turn gravity off. And instead of using call, you'd use something you passed in. So, for example, let's say you want to make an object here. I'm just going to create a cube. All right, so we got another cube here. All right, where'd you go? Oh, we're in game, duh. So we got an object here. So I'm going to put this on the ground. All right, and I'm going to remove, oh, well, actually I don't have to, so since it's just a box collider right now. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our script, And okay, so I've got this here. I'm going to just rename this game object cube. Well, actually, I'm going to name it lantern. All right, so we'll use that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to remove this and do lantern.translate. Okay, so now when something hits that, it will move. Hold on a second, I never transferred that over. Okay, so this object here, that 4, okay. Let's see, cube. So I'm just going to drag that in there. Now when we walk up to it, twink. And every time, actually, this time, every time it does it, it translates it. It translates it up a little bit, but you could have it just do it once. Cool. Yeah, not a problem. All right. Well, if anybody else doesn't have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here now. All right. Well, yep. Not a problem. Yep. Have fun all the time. All right. Have a nice night then. You too.